and he can get away with a few more high fastballs. And Bud Black is going to mount for San Francisco. Harry, he's 4-2. He had arm surgery. Since he's come back, he's starting to turn the ball over to the right-handers, and a lot like Zane Smith, if you try to pull him, you play right into his hands. So maybe the Cubs will go to right field today against Bud Black and be able to defeat the Giants.
Well, Bud Black is a veteran pitcher, and Steve Traxel is really a rookie. You know, we're so anxious to have a winning game and a winning team every day. I wonder whether we just overrate people. Every time a guy pitches a good game for the Cubs, we want to pull him and put him in the Hall of Fame. And when they're really not that good. And I just wonder maybe if we're making a mistake, we're so anxious and hungry for a victory that any time a pitcher wins a game, we praise him more than we should.
Well, the game of baseball is one of 162 pieces of the puzzle. So you play a long season, and during a long season, Harry, everything comes out. If you have any deficiencies, it's going to come out. If you can't field, you'll find that out. If you can't pitch or hit, you're going to find that out also. You're going to have your good weeks and bad weeks. The reality of it is that the Cubs hitting and pitching is well down in the National League, which means that the Cub team also well down in the National League. Only 2 teams in all of baseball have a worse record than the Cubs, so at least at this point, the Cubs are a little talent short of really even thinking about contending.
Clayton at short, Bonds in left, Williams at third, Martinez in right, Bensinger, the hero of last night's game, is home run winner for the Giants at first, Patterson at second, Manwaring at catch. And Bud Black, veteran pitcher who's won 4 and lost 2, is on the hill. Diet Pepsi and Tom Treblecorn's defense against the Giants. Zambrano playing left today in place of Derek May. Hills in center. Sosa in right. Buechele at third. Dunston at short. Sanchez at second. Grace at first. Steve Traxel, the pitcher. He's won 9, lost 7. And Mark Parent behind the plate. And the umpiring crew, Jerry Lane behind the plate, Dana DeMuth at first base, Tom Hanyon at second base, and Paul Runge at third base. It's a cool day. The crowd's been held down a little bit as a result, but we'll have over 20,000, I'm sure, maybe as many as 25,000. Well, nothing's happened in the... How can these guys, the representative of the owner and the representative of the players, have so much time to be on every talk show there is in America and still supposed to be trying to figure out this baseball trouble?
Well, apparently, Harry, they're going to meet tomorrow, and if anything is even remotely close, they'll meet again on Thursday. I would like to see them meet as much as possible until we get this proposed work stoppage resolved one way or the other. Apparently, they're going to sit down tomorrow and try to hammer it out. Today, they're going to meet, Harry, but the word that came out was it was about non-financial considerations. I'm not sure what those are, but I'm sure they do, so there will be some sort of meeting today, although tomorrow I guess they'll get down to the nuts and bolts of it.
Well, I honestly think we ought to feel good about them not meeting. We may get a settlement. The less they talk to each other, the better the reports we read about.
Well, let's hope we don't have a work stoppage, but in the meantime, the race in the National League Central is really something. Cincinnati with just a half-game lead over Houston. Houston has won 6 games in a row. San Francisco comes in 4 games back of Los Angeles, so for them, this is a huge game. The Cubs come in 16 games in back of Cincinnati, 2 games in back of St. Louis, 3 in back of Pittsburgh. They're in last place in the NL Central. And they send Steve Traxel to the mound, making his 22nd start of the year. It's his second against the Giants. He was on the disabled list, as you know, earlier with a blister. 23-year-old right-hander, an 8th-round selection of the Cubs in the June 1991 draft. He has faced the Giants 1 time, and that was at Wrigley Field way back on May 20th. So he probably doesn't remember them very well, and they don't remember him very well. And in that one, he was brilliant. He went 7 innings, gave up 7 hits, just 1 earned run. He got a no decision. The Cubs won that game 2-1. So he comes in there. You look at the numbers. His career against San Francisco, a good day to pitch. It's cool here today, especially for August, but the wind is blowing in and should keep some of the smaller hitters in the ballpark. But bear in mind, if Barry Bonds or Matt Williams gets a hold of one, Steve Traxel has given up 19 home runs this year, and that is the staff leader in that dubious department.
The White Sox won their ball game again last night. They have a one-game lead over Cleveland in the American League. The Yankees increased their lead over Baltimore to 9 by coming from behind and beating them in extra innings. And in Seattle, which doesn't have a home field, who's been kept on the road for weeks now, walloped Texas again last night. That Texas ball club, I can't understand it. I guess it's very simple, though. Pitching. They got a lot of hitting, but no pitching.
Well, very rarely, Harry, will you see a team that doesn't have strong pitching contend. Now, we've seen it the last couple of years with Toronto. They had just overwhelming hitting, but they had a few pitchers who could get to you and beat you on a consistent basis. But that was a team that was built around a whole lot of offense in a park that was absolutely built for offense. And more times than not, if you have any pitching problems over 162 games, you're not going to win it. And Texas, well under 500 with very little pitching, still able to maintain that lead.
Let's take a look at the teams vying for the wild card. There are the three teams, Atlanta, Houston, and the Yankees, the Mets. 11.5 back. But they are in the run for the wild card. And there it is in the American League race. Kansas City and Baltimore in contention with Cleveland. There's Darren Lewis, the first pitch. Swings. Fly ball. Sosa makes the catch. Darren Lewis had a 2-run triple that really changed the ball game around last night.
Well, if you keep Darren Lewis and Royce Clayton off base ahead of Bonds and Williams, you've got a pretty good shot. Darryl Strawberry not in the lineup today. Dave Martinez taking his place in right field, and Todd Benzinger, the man who hit the home run, playing first base today.
There's a pitch to Royce Clayton. He drove into this tying run after Lewis's 2-run triple. And then Benzinger won it with a homer last night. And the Giants had lost 6 in a row coming in. Clayton had 2 out of 4 in last night's game. He's a fine shortstop.
Umpire told Steve Traxel, that's Jerry Lane behind the plate, that you can blow into your hand today because of the coolness of the day.
There's the pitch, a good curveball.
If you can keep Royce Clayton off base, you've done yourself a favor. He's stolen 23 bases in 26 attempts. And this entire Giant team has been most aggressive. 113 steals. They've been caught only 37 times. So they will run, and they will run often.
And keep your eye on Barry Bonds today, because if he steals a base, he has joined the 30-30 club, even though the season may be abbreviated because of the strike. A little tap, easy out. And Traxel over to Gray. 2 men up, 2 men down. Here is Barry Bonds hitting .311, 37 home runs, .311 batting average.
And one suggestion, you probably don't want to hit Barry Bonds because Jim Bullinger hit him last night. All he did was get aggravated and steal second and third. So when you hit him, makes him mad, and he becomes even a better base runner than he normally is. Bonds has stolen 29 bases, been caught only 7 times, and you get the feeling, Harry, as you said last night, this young man can do just about anything he wants to do in this game of baseball.
He's a tremendous ball player, and he'll be ranked with the best in baseball history. He runs, he hits, he throws good enough for a left fielder. He steals bases. He's a daring base runner. What more can you do? 1 ball, no strikes, 2 out, nobody on. Swung and he missed. The Cubs have held him pretty well in check to a batting average of .269 with only 1 homer. this year. Line shot like a bullet in the right field.
That time, Mark Parent wanted the curveball low and away, set up low and away. Steve Traxel got that curveball up and out over the plate, and Barry Bonds doesn't miss many of these. And he hit the ball as hard as you could hit it. Fortunately, he didn't get it up. And from the Southwest Airlines Plainview camera, we'll see Barry Bonds with good arm extension on the off-speed curveball. Great swing. He got over the top, so it didn't leave the ballpark, but it was a ringing single to right.
So here's Matt Williams. He had one out of 4 last night. Leads the major league in home runs. Struck out twice last night.
And he struck out on good curveballs low and out of the strike zone. And if Traxel sets him up with fastballs like that, he can wipe him out with that good curve low and away. Williams may be pressing a little because he has not had a great August home run-wise. He is chasing Roger Maris. And maybe he's getting a little over-anxious to try to hit the ball out of the park, which means he'll be expanding his strike zone.
1 strike and nothing. Throw the first runner back. Well, one of the first pitches thrown out today was by Bill Hogan, a guest of Harry Caray's restaurant. Another pitch was thrown out by Leon Person, a guest of the Cubs. There's Barry Bonds. The players love him, too, by the way. And his manager at Pittsburgh thinks he's as salt of the earth. There he goes. There's a peg. He's going to be foul now, trying to steal. Barry Bonds from Parrott to Sanchez. And we go into the bottom of the first with no score in the ball game. Exciting ball. Harry Caray back at Wrigley Field. Tom Trebelhorn, Diet Pepsi lineup is Dunston at short, Zambrano on left, Grace at first, Sosa in right, Hill in center, Parent the catcher, Buechele at third, Sanchez at second, and Steve Traxel with 1-9 and lost 7. The defensive alignment is Bonds in left, Lewis in center, Martinez in right, Williams, Clayton, Patterson, and Bensinger around the infield. Bud Black, veteran left-handers on the mound, and Kirk Van Waring behind the plate.
Lifetime against the Cubs, Bud Black 0-1 with a 3.83 ERA. Last time out, he went into the 7th inning against Cincinnati. He got a no decision in a 5-4 Giant loss, but he threw well. He gave up just 5 hits in 6+ innings, gave up 2 earned runs, walked 3, fanned only 1. He's not a big strikeout pitcher, and he likes to run the ball away from the right-hand hitters. So look away.
Dunston takes the first pitch high. Now watch this play at second base. A fine throw by Mark Parent. I don't know, was that front foot in there? But he was called out, and he was talking to the second base umpire, Tom Hanyon, after the play before taking his position in left field. Dunston. There's the strike call.
Birthday greetings to Ryan McDonough, the 9-year-old son of Cubs marketing guru John McDonough. And happy birthday to longtime Cub fan Alex Lucas, looking on today.
There's the pitch line to left field, but it's going to go foul.
We also have some birthday greetings to Jeanette Meline, who's 12 years old, here with her mother Jennifer and sister Kate from New Orleans.
When you said guru, referring to John McDonough, I spelled the name backwards. And it sounds like you rug. You run. The pitch. Bouncing ball. Matt Williams throws the first easy out. Bensinger. Sal Dunston, who's 1 out of 5 last night, bounces out.
Now he tags the back leg, Harry. I'm not sure if the front leg was in or not. Barry Bonds thought he was safe. There's the front leg. The tag is on the trailing knee, and it's very close. Tom Hallion thought he was out, and the Cubs will certainly take it.
1 out. Here's Zambrano playing in place of Derek Mays. I don't know whether Derek Mays is not in the lineup because of the fact that the southpaw, Bud Black, is pitching, or because of some other reason. If you believe the papers. The Cubs manager, Tom Trebelhorn's a little bit upset by Derek Mays' reaction to the sacrifice sign he took in the 9th inning with runners at first and second and nobody out. Cubs trailing by a run. And he, after missing the sign, according to him, then he got the sign, attempted to bunt, a weak attempt, and then he struck out on the next pitch. 1 out. Line drive in the right field by Zambrano. But right at Davey Martinez. 2 gone.
Bud Black wants the right-handers to try to pull the ball. If you go to right field against him, you got a pretty good chance. And the 2 best Cub hitters against Bud Black have been the man standing in now, Mark Grace, and Steve Buechele. So surprisingly, Black might be a little more effective against the right-handers than he is against the left-handers. And let's see if Grace, who has hit him well in the past, can handle him here today.
Grace has hit .379 against the Giant pitching this year. No homers. Had 2 out of 3 last night. The count is even up. A ball and a strike.
Black is coming back from surgery. He rehabbed at San Jose and Phoenix en route to San Francisco.
Pitch a little bit inside. Ben Stein with Bill Hogan. Bill Hogan tossing out the first pitch here today. There's Trebelhorn. Well, you got to feel sorry for him in a way, you know. There's a base hit over first base. Grace on his way to second base. The throw by Martinez. He's in safely. Mark Grace hit a ground ball right over the bag for 2 bases.
We told you about Bud Black's inability to handle Mark Grace, and this time Bensinger gave him a lot of room down the line, and Mark Grace took advantage of it. Dana DeMuth pointing fair all the way, and then Mark outruns the arm of Dave Martinez. Martinez has a good arm, but Mark Grace in at second base will isolate on Bensinger, who has no chance for this hard hit ball. So now Sammy Sosa, who drove in the first 2 Cub runs last night, with a chance to put the Cubs on the board and put them ahead early in this one.
And here's Sammy Sosa with 3 out of 5 with 2 RBIs last night. Bud Black. Grace the lead. There's a base hit. Another run batted in. Grace scores. Here's Sosa around the second, trying for third. He's going to make it easily, standing up. Davey Martinez and Darren Lewis had trouble getting the ball as it bounced off the wall.
RBI number 70 for Sammy Sosa, who goes down, gets a curveball, and drives it into the gap. And when the ball gets by, Sammy Sosa is off to the races. So the Cubs do indeed go on top. And the man who has had the biggest influence on the Cub offense, both at home and on the road, leads off the scoring here today.
And Sosa now has a total of 70 RBI. That was his 70th run driven in this year. A triple to right center. And here is Glenn Allen Hill. 1-0 Cubs. Ground ball to the shortstop. Royce Clayton up. Throws the first, retiring the side. So 1 run 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 1, the Cubs are out in front, 1-0. Hansard, game conditions, temperature 63 degrees. Wind out of the northeast at 14 miles an hour. Forecast today, cloudy and cool. And that's what it is right now. When you used to do commercials for Consort, I never got any Consort. Now that you're not doing the commercials and I read one, they send me a whole box full of it.
You see,
and boy, it's great stuff.
See, there's a lot more money now in the advertising budget to send out a case or two. Al Andrea of Grantine Buick on hand, as is Tom Hartigan of Thomas Buick, on a cool and windy day in Wrigley Field, but a nice day nonetheless.
Matt Williams was batting when Barry Bonds was thrown out trying to steal. That was only the 8th time he's been thrown out this year. 29-8 for Bonds in base stealing. With play probably being halted after tomorrow's game, Bond needs 1 stolen base. And in spite of the strike, he will have become a member of the 30-30 club for the 3rd consecutive year.
And there's a look at Darryl Strawberry with the day off today. Matt Williams continues to swing at the low curveball low and away. I figure you just keep throwing it to him until he lays off. He has not laid off yet. That one bounced in front of home plate, and he still swung.
1 ball, 1 strike. Smaller crowd than usual here today. Cool day. There's a drive. Gonna be caught. Zambrano in left field. And, boy, I thought for a moment he hit his 43rd. That wind may have held it up a little.
Well, the wind did hold it up, but he didn't get that ball. He got that curveball off the end of the bat. That was a hanger by Steve Traxel. Unfortunately, Williams didn't get everything into the swing. Didn't hit it on the sweet spot. From the Southwest Plainview camera, watch the location of the bat. Matt Williams, as you see, gets it a little too far out on the end. Gets it up high, and the wind was able to bat it down. So he came close, but not close enough.
Close only counts in horseshoes. You ever play horseshoes?
Yes, I did.
I thought
didn't play it well, but I played it.
I thought you were too young for that kind of stuff.
No, of course not.
I'm amazed that Arnie Harris hasn't played a lot of horseshoes.
Oh, no, he played horseshoes, Harry, but it was too tough to throw the horse.
Yeah, he threw four horseshoes on every horse. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, there's a statistic. There's a bouncing ball, and Dave Martinez an easy out. Sanchez, the great. I wonder, and you know, Arnie being such a statistical-minded guy, maybe he's kept a record of this. I wonder how many losing horses he has bet on during his lifetime. Yes, including this week. Hey, that's a good line. 2 out, nobody on. And here's Bensinger, who hit a home run right-handed. It was his 3rd home run this year against the Cubs.
And the first home run of the year from the right side. He had hit 8 previous home runs, all as a left-hand hitter. And he's hit the only 2 pinch home runs for the Giants.
Ben Stein, wake up, Ben. No, he's reading something there. There's a pitch. In there, strike 3, Bensinger. Why couldn't that have happened last night? Bensinger called out on strike. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 2nd. 1-0 Cubs. Base today. Buddy Black pitches a little bit outside. Greetings to Kayleen Heinz, visiting from Denver with her sister, Josie and Ron Trapp.
I'd like to pass along best wishes to Willie Welsher on his birthday. It was yesterday. His sister Jennifer sent a very nice letter, and so Willie, happy birthday. 13 years old.
Here's a pitch strike call. And from Memphis, Tennessee, Cub fans Tricia Gorbuzinski and Amanda Edmondson and Mike Workhoven and some great tasting chocolate-covered peanuts, too, from Memphis.
Now Mark Parent should get a fastball to swing at. And let's see if he has a good cut, if it is indeed a strike.
There's a high drive. Easy out, though. Waiting for Darren Lewis.
Cub fans, what a Harry Caray, Brooks Kieschnick, Kevin Foster, and Glenn Allen Hill have in common. They're all featured in the August edition of Vineline, the official newspaper of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline is a perfect gift for any Cubs fan. Subscribe now and receive a collector's set of Cubs postcards. From the amazing 1984 season to the Cubs of '69, these limited edition postcards capture all the magic moments at Wrigley Field. For subscription information, call 312-831-CUBS.
There's a strike call. The first 30,000 fans entering the ballpark today received a photo card of Ryan Sandberg's memorable day on June 23rd, 1984 versus the Cardinals. So today, photo card day.
And we told you that Grace hit Black very well, and so does Buechele. So let's see if that continues.
High foul ball out of play into the stands. A lot of empty seats today. Lowell Stahl, president of Century 21. A golden blazer from your friends at Century 21 on your golden year in baseball. Well, thanks very much. Pitch a little bit low. There's a group of young ball players from Jose Hernandez's hometown. Here's a curve, and Buechele is called out on strike.
Well, strangely enough, after the arm surgery, Bud Black came up with a better curveball. Before the surgery, he would try to trick him with a slider and a fastball that didn't move all that much. After the surgery, he's come up with a tailing fastball, and now the curveball, for whatever reason, is a lot better. And he fooled Buechele and had him standing there looking at strike three.
The national anthem today was performed by the cast from Strike Up the Band. Hey, Wayne Messmer ought to be coming up back again pretty soon. And we miss him. Not that these other groups don't do a great job, but there's only one, Wayne Messmer. Tomorrow, Sanchez fouls it back. Tomorrow is Anniversary Cup Set Day. The first 15,000 adults aged 21 and older will receive a set of Wrigley Field Anniversary Cups. Strike three call. Bud Black looked like himself, retiring his side in order. And at the end of two, the Cubs still lead 1-0. Back at Wrigley Field, tickets are still available for the annual Cubs Care Cruise. Fans can join Cubs players and front office personnel for a fun-filled trip on board the cruise ship Odyssey, the premier cruise ship of Lake Michigan. Fans can participate in a silent auction of sports and celebrity memorabilia, and will receive a gift for attending. The cost, $200 per person. The proceeds benefiting Cubs Care, a fund of the Robert R. McCormick Tribune Foundation. For more information, call Arnie Dixon, 404-4096. 404-4096. And that's tomorrow night.
Patterson had a couple of hits last night, including a run batted in.
Ball 3. Boy, you know, I can't. There must be a tremendous difference between AAA and the Major League. There's a strike call. I see where Turk Wendell won another great game. He participated in Iowa's 1-0 victory in 10 innings. He started. He worked 8 innings. There's a high foul ball out of play.
Harry, you know, I believe
he
what
allowed
it is.
6 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. And for the season, he's 9-4 with a .305 earned run average.
I think you get away with more mistakes at AAA. I think that if the stuff is good enough, and obviously it is for Turk in AAA, if you make some mistakes, the hitters don't make you pay near as much in AAA as they do here. In AAA, maybe you make a mistake, they foul it back. In the major leagues, many times it winds up in the seats. So it's just a question of how many mistakes in the course of a performance you can get away with, and you can get away with many more in AAA. That jump is a big jump.
And I imagine, too, the nervous tendencies of a young guy pitching in the major leagues for the first time. Although Wendell has been up a couple of times in a couple of years. Patterson called out on strike.
Good comeback by Steve Traxel. He fell behind 3-0, threw a blazing fastball over the inside corner, leaving Patterson standing there looking at it. So a whole different inning when that leadoff man doesn't get on.
Steve, listen who drove in the winning run for Iowa, which is a Cub Farm Club. And here's a name you'll remember very well, Mike Sharperson.
Well, I remember Mike Sharperson very well. One year he made the All-Star team, Harry, is primarily a pinch hitter. In fact, when he made the All-Star team for the Dodgers that year, he was hitting over 300 at the All-Star break.
But what happened to our youth program? We're supposed to be developing players for the Major League. Sharperson was with the Dodgers for years. He must be 33 years old.
He was in that area.
One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. Kirk Manwaring. Boy, a fine defensive catcher. He might have saved that ball game for him last night, especially in the 9th inning.
He also hit .275 last year, which is very respectable. So Manwaring, very much an asset for the Giants.
I would imagine if you talk to most managers, if they had a choice between a guy who hit home runs and was a lousy catcher, or a guy who was a good catcher and only hit .250, a guy who can handle pitchers, they'd go for the catcher, wouldn't they? Defensive catcher.
I've always believed that the first responsibility of any catcher is handle the pitching staff, call the game, and make sure that the defense is there. Throw out some base runners. What you get offensively is a bonus. Now, everybody wants Johnny Bench behind the plate, Harry, but the reality of it is that there was one Johnny Bench. We find some great catchers around the National League. Darren Dalton is the whole package. Mike Piazza apparently is the whole package, but those guys are few and far between. But you want your catcher to call a strong game, handle your pitching staff, really be the captain of the infield, and block pitches and throw out base runners. Then when he hits for you, it certainly is a bonus.
There's Bud Black. Good bunt. The only play will be to first base, where Sanchez takes Traxel's toss. Let's pause here for identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
And so the tying run at second base. 2 out.
Eddie Zambrano's coming in. Apparently, I think he wants some sunglasses from John Fierro. He gets them. Now that it looks like the sun might be ready to peek out from behind the clouds, Eddie Zambrano wants to be prepared. And that's a pretty good thing to be.
And if the sun is shining at all, it is shining ever so pallidly. But Zambrano wants to be prepared in case it does come out full strength. Darren Lewis flied out his first time up. Curveball in there, a strike call. Lewis started the swing, held up.
Now, normally, Darren Lewis uses right and right center field. Last night, he surprised everyone when he hit that ball off the wall in the 7th inning. He's starting to pull the ball a little more these days, so you defense him almost straight away. The Cubs shade him just a touch to left center field.
Ground ball, that'll be easy. Dunston. And the Giants are out. No hits, no runs, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 3rd, 1-0 Chicago. Fine cameraman with his entire family. His wife Julie is with him also. And boy, it seems to me that on these broadcasts we mention the birth of every one of those children. And now they're getting up a little bit in a young age. At a time now when they can really enjoy a ball game, especially when their mom and their dad are sitting with them, the Clausen family. There's Traxel. Fouls the pitch. That's strike 2. Hey, this kid Bob Morris, who is Hal Morris's younger brother, playing for Peoria, continues to hit, batting .354, 56 RBIs. Peoria won last night, defeating Quad Cities. At Huntington, a rookie league, a right-hander, Jason Ryan, pitched a 1-hit complete game. There's a high pop foul, out of play. Ryan Leigh, the fine lineman of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, was here the other day with his uncle Jack Leahy, both members of the famous Leahy family. Frank was the great coach in Notre Dame years ago. Here's a high pop foul. Going to be caught. Man Waring has it. I guess we are just about to the point where you're going to have to keep Lou Holtz for being named the outstanding coach in Notre Dame history. If he has another winning season this year, it's going to be hard to distinguish between his success and Frank Leahy's disgust. Here's Dunston. Well, here's I ask that question. Which Giant has the most RBIs in one season since moving to San Francisco? My guess, Willie McCovey.
And I'll say Orlando Cepeda.
Swung, and he missed. Dunston swung at a pitch to the outside corner of the plate.
That's that running fastball that Bud Black has been using to the right-hand hitters. He's trying to force you to pull that ball. If you do, you hit the ground ball to the left side. If you go with it, you hit it hard like Sammy Sosa did, who tripled in the first inning.
Fouls him back. Dunston 1 out of 6 in the series, hitting .285. There's Jimmy Farrell. He's been around here for a long time, standing right in front of Sammy Sosa. There's Randy Veras to his right. Pitch outside. Farrell is the manager of the umpire's room. A great little guy. I wonder how many years he's been here. Jimmy Farrell, there you're looking at him. Sure and Bigora. A fine Irish lad he is. Here's the pitch a little bit inside. One out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hot shot. But Royce Clayton is there and throws him out. That ball was really kissed.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
Patty Goldbuck sends up some delicious chocolate-covered peanuts. Patty Goldbuck. Sounds like a cute girl. Here's the answer to that difficult question. Orlando Cepeda, 142 in 1961. And you think that was pretty good? In 67, he was the most valuable player for the St. Louis Cardinals, most valuable player in the National League. He must have driven in about 130 runs.
He missed by an eyelash of making it to the Hall of Fame. What do you think his chances are of making it?
Oh, gosh, you know, there's a kind of a guy. Certainly, I don't know how you could not vote for a guy like that. He was a fine ball player and a popular ball player wherever he was. As a matter of fact, they say one of the reasons that Mays and Cepeda didn't get along is because the crowd loved Cepeda so much more and showed their love for him more than they did for Mays. Yes, there is jealousy even in baseball. There's the drive. Deep, but it's going to be caught. Martinez up against the right field wall. Zambrano hits the ball hard, but out. Harry Caray from Wrigley Field at the end of 3. As we go in the bottom of the 3rd,
it's a come Steve Traxel against Royce Clayton to begin things, and it's a strike with our producer-director Arnie Harrison, Steve Stone. I'm Tom Brenneman. Chilly day here in Chicago today, but Steve Traxel, Stoney, came back after missing a couple of starts with a blister. A little wild last start, but today he looks sharp. And there is a liner caught by Dunston.
Steve Traxel is the Cubs' best pitcher, and today he's got everything going. And you want to keep Royce Clayton off ahead of Barry Bonds and Matt Williams. Sean Dunston enabled him to do that. So far, the Cubs have the lead, and so far, Steve Traxel is looking sharp.
Stoney, it's hard to believe we have today, and we certainly have tomorrow. After that, anybody's guess, my friend.
Well, we'll have to see. The big meetings are coming tomorrow, and we'll have to see if there's any resolution to those meetings. If there's any progress at all, Tommy, they'll meet on Thursday. If not, everybody has some time off that they don't want.
Well, here's Barry Bonds. He singled into right field, was thrown out trying to steal his 30th base. That obviously would have made him a member yet again of the 30-30 club. 30 homers, 30 stolen bases in the same season, and now Bonds has his eye on a 40-40 club membership, done only once in Major League history. That by Jose Canseco then with the Oakland Athletics. And if anybody can do it, it is Barry Bonds. The 0-2 pitch, a little bit low.
Tom Brenneman for commissioner.
Amen.
I don't think you want to take a cut and pay, but it's a nice office.
Oh, yeah, cut and pay. Last time I checked, Fay Vincent was doing all right. You would take the cut and pay. 2-2 to Barry Bonds. Who's kidding who?
Yeah, but think of all the fun you'd have. You'd have this labor dispute right in the middle of that.
Nightlife in New York City.
Hey, it'd be quite a place to be.
Although the nightlife here is a lot better than it is in New York.
Be able to pick up a Met and a Yankee game anytime you wanted to. Not bad.
Well, you know, all kidding aside, they had talked recently about moving the commissioner's office out of New York and bringing it here to Chicago if and when we get a new commissioner. I wouldn't even have to move.
Even a bigger plus.
There we go.
Well, a nice sign nonetheless.
Yes, it is. Where were those guys anyway?
They just let him out of the hospital.
In a way. 3-2 the count. That's probably the truth. Not bad. Not bad. Cubs leading 1-0 here in the fourth. After falling behind 0-2, it's full to Bonds. And he's drawn a walk. He'll get another chance for that 30th stolen base.
Well, it's a good situation for Bonds to run, and the reason being that you figure they're going to have to go at Matt Williams with a succession of low curveballs and forkballs. He hasn't shown the ability to handle them yet. And if you keep going with low curveballs and forkballs, it's pretty easy to run if you're Barry Bonds. But bear in mind, Steve Traxel has an excellent move to first. He hasn't shown Barry Bonds his good move yet, but he might just get him leaning the wrong way. Mark Parent gunned down Barry Bonds in the first inning on a good solid throw. And that was a curveball low and away where he was thrown out.
Matt Williams, 42 home runs, 93 batted in. He's flying out to left field his first trip. And Traxel will keep an eye on Bonds at first base.
Things darkening up somewhat here at Wrigley Field. Perhaps the lights will be on before this one is over, but the promise is of no rain, at least for today.
Did you think that Williams hit that ball well enough to get out of here his first time up? I thought it was on the end of the bat a little bit.
It was on the end of the bat, and the wind certainly didn't do him any favors.
There goes Bonds, and it's drilled into right field. It'll be caught on the warning track, and Bonds, already by second base, has to get back to first. 2 down in the inning. I love the comment made by Matt Williams. I overheard him talking to some of the members of the media before the game today, and they asked him, chasing Roger Maris's record, what's more important to you right now, hitting a solo home run or having a 2-run single? He said it's not even close. 2-run single. My team gets 2 runs, and I'm more interested in winning than catching any baseball record individually.
Well, that's the attitude you have to have. The attitude of we instead of I carries you a long way in this game. And the Giants have a long way to go, although they are 4 back of the Dodgers. Dodgers losing a ball game late, squandering a 4-run lead. And the Giants winning one to narrow the gap by 1.
Davey Martinez grounded out to second base his first time up. Cubs are in front 1-0. We're in the fourth. Barry Bonds at first with 2 men out.
And with the left-hander up here and the blocked visibility by Mark Parent, keep your eye on Barry Bonds.
Bonds a pretty good lead over there at first. And it's in the air to left field. It should in the inning. Zambrano waiting. And it does. No runs, no hits, a man left. Middle of the fourth at Wrigley Field. The Cubs lead the Giants 1-0. Glenn Allen Hill, the first 2, did the damage to bring in the only run of the game. Grace doubled with 2 men out into right field in the first. Scored on a triple by Sammy into right center. A ball, a strike. That one found out of play. Bud Black has not allowed a man to reach since the RBI triple by Sammy in the first inning. He's retired the last 8. May get 7 going for number 8 right here.
This time Todd Benzinger is a little closer to the line at first base. Last time Mark Grace went right down the line for his double. Benzinger well off the line, couldn't get to it.
fouled on a play third base side. Cannell staying on Grace at 2-2.
Well, the Giants continued a tradition, Tommy. They always expect their rookies to climb up on the horse at Belmont and Sheridan Road and paint a part of the horse's anatomy. It's like a rookie hazing initiation for the Giants. This year, it was William Van Landingham who did it. Well, that's all well and good. But today, there was 5 gendarmes in the Giant locker room arresting him for doing just that.
Lined into left field. Bonds won't get it. Base hit for Grace.
Well, the story went on for about 10 minutes with Van Landingham thinking that he was going to the slammer. And they asked Dusty Baker when he has to pitch, and Dusty said he's got to pitch tomorrow. He says, oh, geez, I don't know about that. And then they said, well, we only have one way to resolve this thing. We're going to have to paint the same part of Mr. Van Landingham that he painted of the horse. And, of course, when that happened, everybody just broke up in the San Francisco locker room, but that's part of what it's like to be a rookie on the Giants. One of the things that they have upheld down through these many years, and something that usually gives everybody a big laugh in the Giant clubhouse, and did again today, with a very nervous William Van Landingham finally let off the hook.
Here's the pitch, and it's inside to Sammy, 1-0. Here's the pitch, and a base hit through the hole into left field. Grace on to second. So Grace and Sosa have all 4 Cub hits in the game today. 2 on and nobody out.
Well, the Southwest Plainview camera will take a look at Sammy Sosa, who has been red hot of late in his pursuit of the 300 mark. And there is a Southwest Airlines Plainview camera high atop Wrigley Field, giving you those gorgeous shots around home plate. Sammy now over 300 for the first time this year. He's right at 302 with 70 runs driven in, and what a year it's been for him.
Sammy himself trying to go back-to-back years in the 30-30 club. Well, let's see what Glen Allen Hill will be doing right now. Early in the game, it's a 1-0 lead, and the Giants figuring no way he's going to bunt. Benzinger well behind the bag at first, likewise for Williams at third. And it bounces up there. Good block by Manwaring. Boy, he saved a couple of runs last night in the 9th inning on balls down in the dirt off of Rod Beck.
We don't hear much about Kurt Manwaring with all of the various stars of the Giants. You hear a lot about Barry Bonds, a lot about Matt Williams, but Manwaring getting better and better, especially on pitches like this. This one bounces off the plate. Manwaring keeps the double play in order by blocking the pitch. And you're right, with Rod Beck on the mound last night, he also pretty much saved the game.
Glen Allen bounced hard to short his first trip. 2 on, none out. High fly ball straight away center. Lewis still going back, and on the warning track makes a catch. Grace tags up. He'll go to third. 1 away in the inning.
On a normal day, that ball was hit hard enough to get out of this ballpark, but the wind is blowing in about 10 miles an hour, and Darren Lewis has enough time to go back and make the play. Heads up base running by Mark Grace. When he saw that Lewis was camping under this one, he tagged up at second, moved on to third, so now runners at the corners for Mark Parent.
Well, you wonder now, Stoney, if Sammy Sosa isn't told to take off, stay out of the double play.
Well, the one thing that he has to be very careful of, and I'm sure Jose Martinez has reminded him, is the move of Bud Black at first base. It's one thing to try to take off. It's another thing to make sure the pitcher delivers the ball, and Sammy's going to have to beware. You get picked off here, it takes you out of what looks to be a very promising inning.
Sammy, 21 steals. He's been thrown out 12 times. Runners on the corners, 1 down. Parent fly to center his first time up. Normally, Mark Parent has done a very good job in these kind of situations.
I think he knows to take a look for something above the waist. so he can at least hit a fly ball, because Mark Parent can't run at all, and if he hits a ball on the ground, it's going to be 2. So you want to make sure that if you get something down, especially early in the count, you're not swinging at it. You're trying to induce Bud Black into giving you something you can handle. Parent does have 2 sacrifice flies this year.
Here's the pitch. And he checked his swing. They appealed to first. Yes, he went around, says Dana Demuth. And Parent didn't like the call. I don't blame him.
We'll take another look at it on his low-end curveball. Mark Parent comes forward. Very close. He doesn't get the benefit of the call.
Yeah, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Runners on the corners, 1 out, the 0-1, and they pitch out, and nothing going on.
Parent has grounded into 5 double plays this year in just 97 at-bats.
Cubs trying to add to a 1-0 lead here in the home half of the 4th. Grace and Sosa started the inning with singles. Mark went to third on a fly ball to center by Glenn Allen Hill. It's a ball, a strike on Mark Parent.
Bud Black in just 9 games has 3 wild pitches and 1 balk. So Dana Demuth will watch that front foot very carefully. Now, we've mentioned it before. Good base runner at first with a left-hander on the mound. As soon as the left-hander brings that foot in back of the pitcher's rubber, he has got to come home with it. If you don't swing the foot in back of the rubber, you can still go to first. And good base runners key on that foot.
Slide step that time, and a fastball paints the outside corner. Parent in a hole at 1-2.
Slide step is the best way to combat a base runner. A lot of pitchers feel that if they do use a slide step enough, that sometimes something is taken off the fastball. That happened to be in a perfect spot, and Black did deliver the ball quickly.
Barry Bonds playing very close to the left field line, closer than normal anyway. Darren Lewis a few steps into left center field. Martinez pretty much straight up and right.
Martinez is a very good arm in right field, and Bonds, if not an overpowering arm, a very accurate arm in left.
Runners on the corners, 1 out. 1-2 to Parent, and it missed down low. Well, Dusty Baker's team had a 6-game losing streak come to an end last night in that 5-4 victory. And as Tony brought up, despite the fact that his team is 7 under 500, they're very much in the race, trailing the Dodgers by only 4 games.
Infield is halfway. They're looking for 2. You can see him as we pan around, and that's what the inner defense looks like for the Giants.
And now they have Sosa caught. Benzinger going to run him in to the shortstop Clayton. Black will keep looking at Grace at third. Sammy still in the rundown. The tag. Here comes the runner home. He'll make it. A 2-0 Cub lead. And the Giants did not handle that rundown well at all.
If possible, you're looking for 1 throw on the rundown. Heads up play by Mark Grace. Bud Black picks off Sammy. Sammy gets hung up long enough. And in the meantime, Mark Grace is inching closer to home. They make well too many throws. Bud Black keeping his eye on Mark Grace. And here comes Grace as Patterson puts on the tag, but they've got no chance as Patterson slips and Mark Grace scores. So what turned out to be a very bad base running play on the part of Sammy Sosa turns into a run because of the heads-up play by Mark Grace.
Well, you saw Sammy in that rundown, Stoney. After about 3 throws, he's looking at Grace, throwing his hands in the air, saying, "What are you doing over there? Make a move."
Well, he was running out of gas. Sammy will isolate on Mark Grace. And watch him. Now he knows that Sammy is hung up. He's waiting for the opportunity. The opportunity comes when Bud Black gets the ball and goes to Patterson, and here comes Grace. No chance to get him. The Cubs increase their lead.
Two down, nobody on. And Mark Perrin awaiting the 2-2 delivery. It missed outside. In the air to right center field. Room out there for Martinez, and that will end the inning. Cubs get a run on 2 hits. Nobody left. We head for the 5th. Cubs 2, Giants nothing. And he is fan 2. Todd Benzinger struck out on 3 pitches, ending the 2nd inning. He's 0 for 1. Well, today we welcome the Cook County Juvenile Court Youth Charity Group, compliments of our good friends from Builders Square. Nice to have them on hand here today. And I hope they brought their jackets.
Yes, I can second that. It is a little chilly around the ballpark. Temperature right around 62 degrees. Other than that, not too bad. As long as the rain stays away, it's not a bad day, and it's a great day for pitchers today.
Symbolic, I guess, in a lot of ways, Tony. It's chilly, and we brought it up earlier. Who knows what's going to happen, almost as though it were in October, Saturday afternoon, the final weekend of the season, the way the weather is. That ball hit hard into right field. Sammy cannot get it. It bounces into the ivy, and Benzinger will go into second base with a leadoff double. Only the 2nd hit for the Giants.
13th double of the year for Todd Benzinger, who has much more power from the left side. And Traxel fell behind 2-0. Sammy making the attempt for it, but the ball rattles around in the ivy, and Benzinger stops at second. So this is the first real legitimate threat for the Giants to break through, but it's the bottom part of the order, although Patterson did have a couple of hits and a run batted in last night.
He took a called 3rd strike in the 3rd inning today. Steve Buechele, with Patterson's speed in mind, will play a step on the grass at 3rd. Ball 1 away.
Pretty good pitcher-hitter battle right here, because Traxel wants to keep the ball away from Patterson to force him to hit the ball to the left side. Patterson, if he isn't going to bunt, and it doesn't appear he is, wants to get something he can pull to the right side and move along Benzinger.
Benzinger at second base, nobody out. And he took a strike.
Patterson a switch hitter, but far superior from the left side. Right-handed, he's been a non-factor this year, hitting just 100. But left-handed, hitting 254.
On the ground, he'll move the runner along. Made it look easy. Sanchez throws him out. 1 away in the inning, and Benzinger 90 feet away from the first Giants run. Big man for Steve Traxel here, with pitcher Bud Black waiting on deck. Patterson, a nice job to advance the runner.
Van Waring has 3 sacrifice flies this year, has 4 sacrifices, so he can handle the bunt. He can handle the bat, he can bunt, and he can hit the sacrifice fly if need be. Infield back, conceding the run unless it's hit to 3rd.
Fouled away by Van Waring, who has 28 batted in this season.
I guess they said the greatest advancement in the game of Van Waring last year was his ability to take command in the infield. When he first came up, he didn't say a great deal. And you want your catcher to be a leader. You want him to go out when he has to and shake up the pitcher, give the pitcher a lot of confidence. And last year, for the first time, Kurt Van Waring showed his generalship around the infield.
Runner at 3rd, 1 out. The 0-1 to the Giant catcher is a fastball in, a ball, a strike. Castillo in the Cub dugout thought it might be a good idea if he were sent back to the minor leagues during the strike so he could work on a few things. This will bring in the run. So the Giants execute perfectly. They get a double by Benzinger, a ground ball to the right side to get the runner to third, and then a ground out to the second baseman to bring him in.
And watch this hop. This is not an easy play for Ray Sanchez. He goes over and the ball takes a big hop. He stays right with it. Nice play by Ray, but it goes as RBI number 29 for Kurt Manwaring. Fine execution on the part of the Giants. So they've halved the lead. They trail by 1.
So here's Buddy Black. He had to sacrifice his first time up, and he takes high, ball 1.
I think there's a lot of guys on major league contracts that think it would be a great idea to get sent down to the minor leagues during the strike because they get paid per the major league contract.
You got it.
Now, it's not going to happen too often, I don't believe, but I would think the players would think it was just dandy. In fact, guys like Barry Bonds making $6 and $7 million might think it would be a great idea to get sent down to work on their stroke during the strike.
Why not? Why not?
I think the clubs would be more than happy to oblige in that.
Sure they will. They're beating down the doors to make that happen. That one low and away, 2-2 to Bud Black.
Well, if the Giants are trying to win the pennant at AAA, I would assume that Matt Williams, Barry Bonds could help put them over the top in the lineup every day.
Just maybe.
And they might draw some people.
Again, just maybe. But you know what the chances are? They aren't maybe. I got news for you.
You don't think they want to pay those salaries throughout the course of this strike? I got a feeling not.
No. I don't think Barry's all that worried about it either. That ball hit pretty hard into left field. Zambrano is there, and the inning is over. Giants get a run on a hit. Nobody left. Middle of the 5th. A 2-1 Cub lead. Game series. Giants took the opener last night by a run. Today, as we move to the last of the 5th, the Cubs are in front by a run.
And our good friend Susie Lorenz looking on in Phoenix, Arizona. It's only about 110 every day there. Very balmy August weather. Here we've got San Francisco weather. Whatever happened to the dog days of August? They become the frigid days of August.
They're here. They're here. And the weather doesn't have anything to do with it. Swing and a foul ball on a play. I think there's a lot of dog eat dog in New York right now. Dick Ravitch and Donald Fear wearing the collars.
That's a good sign.
Ladder third in the order. Buechele, Sanchez, and Traxel against Bud Black. Fouled away. It's still 0-2. Well, everybody back at it tonight around the major leagues. See the schedules on both sides. In the Cubs National League Central, that Cincinnati lead down to a half game over Houston. Reds losing yesterday, Houston idle. And tonight, due to the injury out for the season of Reds right-hander Eric Hansen, they're having to go into their biggest series of the season with a rookie, Kevin Jarvis, on the mound tonight. Meanwhile, San Diego is in Houston, where it'll be Andy Ashby against Shane Reynolds. On the ground up the middle. Clayton is there. One away. And all the other divisions in the National League anyway, the East and the West, if we have the strike, there won't be any change at the top. Atlanta still very much fighting for a wild card spot, as we showed you earlier. A game and a half over Houston right now. Houston again at home to San Diego, while the Braves are in Colorado.
And in the wacky AL West, Texas leading by a game and a half. Losers of 4 games in a row, but they're only 1 up in the loss column. Oakland 50-61, Texas 52-60.
And wait a minute, Stoney. Don't go by those two teams so fast. There's another lurking around in that American League West. 3 back in the loss column, 4.5 back overall.
You're not talking about Uncle Lou's Seattle Mariners,
Yes,
are you?
I am. You've been riding me all year long.
And Ken Griffey is starting to hit a home run a day again.
2-1 to Sanchez. He had number 39 last night. Seattle bombed Texas. Rangers have lost 4 in a row.
And Uncle Lou's Mariners have won 3 in a row.
And they've been on the road for a month. In the air to shallow right field. Patterson will give way to Martinez for the second out of the inning.
That was done nicely because the infielder goes back until he hears the voice of the outfielder. In this situation, Dave Martinez has the best play, so he's got the call. You see Patterson just give way, and you avoid nasty collisions that way. Dave Martinez making the play easily. Darryl Strawberry not in the lineup today, but since the addition of Darryl Strawberry 28 games ago, the Giants, who are last in the league offensively, are 18-10 with him on the ball club.
And the team batting average has gone from the 240s to the 270s with Strawberry in the lineup as opposed to him being out of it. But that man right there has done a good job against the Giant batting order thus far today. They only have 2 hits. Clayton on to Benzinger in a perfect 5th inning for Bud Black. We go to the 6th at Wrigley Field. Cubs 2, Giants 1. It's probably not the case. A 2-1 ball game. And Glenn, we hope you're doing all right.
Now
Yeah.
big inning for Steve Traxel as he moves to the top of the order. And you certainly want to see Lewis and Clayton retired before the Bombers, Bonds and Williams.
Lewis is lined to right, and he's bounced to short. Strike 1. Sanchez very deep at second base. If Lewis could just push one by the mound the way he can run, he'll have a bunt hit to begin the inning. Diving stab by Grace. They got him at first. Great play by Mark Grace.
That's the reason why Mark Grace has a couple of gold gloves on his mantle. He takes a base hit away from Darren Lewis, who goes to right field, and Grace playing wide of the bag. The only man who could make this play. No chance for Sanchez, and Grace with the easy flip. Traxel hits the inside of the bag with the right foot. That's exactly what you want to do. You avoid getting cut up at first. The Cubs do it perfectly.
So now it's Royce Clayton. He's bounced to the mound and lined to Sean Dunston at short. And Matt Williams is due up 4th here in the inning. Fouled away, a ball to strike on Royce Clayton. Cubs only 2-6 on this homestand, with today and tomorrow left to go. In fact, they have lost 6 of the last 7.
And the game tomorrow with leadoff man at 1 o'clock, game time 1:20, and it's Willie Banks at 8-11 against William Van Landingham, the rookie, at 7-2 in the final game of this homestand.
Blown away, 2-1. Well, Van Landingham, one of a number of very fine rookie pitchers in the National League this season. The other, Steve Traxel, right here. Bobby Jones, another win for the Mets last night.
And Joey Hamilton, who the Cubs handled in this park largely because of the defense of the Padres, but he's had a great year. So some good young pitchers coming into the league.
There's a base hit in the left field by Clayton. So the tying run aboard with Barry Bonds coming up. And you can't forget about Philadelphia right-hander Bobby Munoz.
No, he's also had a fine year.
Well, Bond's not the only giant who can run. You have one over at first base in Royce Clayton. 23 steals. He's only been thrown out 3 times the entire year. Bonds has singled, been thrown out stealing. He's also drawn a walk.
Well, you've got Bonds and Matt Williams up. I don't know how much you run in front of this twosome. Dusty Baker might just want to keep the hole open on the right side, necessitated by Grace having to hold Royce Clayton close at first.
Fouled away. Later tonight on GN, it's a case of stolen art, which leads to a masterpiece of a murder. And only one detective has the ability to solve it, Peter Falk, in yet another episode of Columbo. Tonight at 7 on WGN Channel 9. I guess that means that young fella is planning on Bonds and Williams hitting 2 apiece today.
I don't think that's going to happen. Not that it can't. I just don't think it's going to.
0-1 to Barry Bonds, and there's a throw sending Clayton back to the bag. Cubs 2, Giants 1. Clayton a 1-out single here in the 6th.
See Barry Bonds red hot since the All-Star break.
When you see Bonds, and we've talked about it over the years, Tony, chokes up a bit on the end of the bat, just goes to prove that you don't have to hold it all the way down at the end to generate enough bat speed to hit a lot of home runs.
I talked to Barry about that, and he said that he's been choking up since he started playing baseball. He feels it gives him much better bat control. And who can argue with a man who can put up the numbers like Barry Bonds can? But you don't see many sluggers in his category who choke up at all. Most of them, in fact, wrap that little finger around the bottom of the knob like Bagwell does in Houston. And Willie Stargell used to have 2 fingers under the bat, actually, and could really hit him.
Yeah. Runner goes, and it's in the air to left center field. Zambrano coming in, and he'll make the catch, and back to first goes Royce Clayton. So that's a big out for Steve Traxel, 2 down in the inning.
Watch the reaction from Barry Bonds. He gets under this one, and he's not very happy with that swing. The runner's going. Bonds knows that he had a pretty good pitch to hit and just didn't get it.
Well, with Bonds out of the way, Traxel now turns his attention to Matt Williams. Williams is flying to left and is lined to right. Well, now with a tying run at first, Tony, you expect to see Clayton running here early in the count with Williams in the plate?
It's a gamble if you run him on the first pitch because it's pretty easy to call a pitch out. I would think he'd wait a pitch or 2 and see what the count goes to on Matt Williams. But they ran with Bonds. Of course, they waited a few pitches to do that. They might do the same with Williams.
Cubs are holding on to a 2-1 lead here in the 6th. 2 down, Clayton over at first. Into right field. Sammy drifting back to the warning track. Will make the grab, and Traxel takes care of business. 1 hit, 1 left. We go to the last of the 6th. Still a 2-1 Cub lead. Derek May on the bench today for the Cubs, certainly under the gun after last night's game where he had a shouting match in the weight room in the Cubs clubhouse afterwards with manager Tom Trebelhorn regarding a missed bunt sign and then a failed bunt attempt with 2 on and nobody out in the 9th inning. And then Derek May late getting here to the ballpark today.
Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. They're facing the left-hander Bud Black today, but there'll be a right-hander on the mound tomorrow, and we'll see if he's in the starting lineup then.
Sean Dunston to lead it off. He is bounced to third and grounded to Royce Clayton at short. Well, a lot of the fans talking about that situation with Derek last night. And Derek said that since he was in either the 3, 4, or 5 spot, he assumed he would not be bunting. And didn't even bother to look down for the sign on the first pitch. I don't know. 0-2 to Dunston.
A couple of good curveballs by Bud Black, who's had Dunston doing just what he wants him to do, is hit the ball to the left side. He grounded out twice, once to third, once to short.
Came with a fastball outside that time, and Dunston fouled it off. Let's back out for his station ID on the Cubs Baseball Network.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Back at Wrigley Field, a 2-1 Cub lead over the Giants. We're in the bottom half of the 6th inning. And it's a ball, 2 strikes on Sean Dunston. He'll be followed by Eddie Zambrano and then Mark Grace. And Stoney, I have to believe this chilly weather can't be all that good on Dunston's back.
Now, the way he's been bending over between pitches, I can't believe he's feeling great. But he is in the lineup. And the Cubs are a better team when he is in the lineup. Eddie Zambrano has hit the ball hard twice, but has 2 flyouts to show for it.
In the air to right field. Davey Martinez drifting over near the line. He has it. And Dunston retired to begin the 6th. Bud Black's pitched a pretty good game here today.
Well, it's a 1-1 game if the Giants could just execute that rundown, but when a rundown goes 1-3-6-1-4 and takes that many throws with a man at third base, more times than not, you're going to give up the run, and Mark Grace got to steal a home on the play. So the Cubs probably stealing home this year more times than they've stolen home in many a year.
Strike 1 to Zambrano. Stoney mentioned he has lined twice at Davey Martinez in right field. Grace waiting on deck. Well, like you at home, we are certainly hoping that tomorrow will not be the final game at Wrigley Field this season. But it's a little tough to be optimistic when the main parties, those closest to the situation involved, don't sound all that optimistic about everything. Matchup tomorrow we brought up earlier, William Van Landingham against Willie Banks. Brought to you by Desenet.
Well, Eddie should get a pretty good pitch to hit here. Black has good control. Certainly doesn't walk anybody. Doesn't want to walk anybody ahead of Grace and Sosa. So he should get a fastball, and it should be away.
Oh, took a little something off that pitch. Eddie way out in front.
Good pitch by a veteran left-hander, and he completely fooled Zambrano.
Three-2. Fastball fouled away. Bleachers jam-packed. They will be so again tomorrow, I'm sure. Cubs are due to embark on a 3-city 11-game trip starting Friday night. They'll be in Los Angeles over the weekend, Atlanta, and then a 5-game series at Shea Stadium in New York next weekend. But who knows? Good at bat by Zambrano. He draws the 1-out walk. First of the game issued by Bud Black. How long do you think that strike's going to last, Tony?
Well, first they have to have it.
Well, they're going to have it.
And then I think, Tommy, that there will be some resolution to the strike. Probably the first week in September if they do have it. I truly believe that there will be postseason play this year.
Do you really?
I think it's to everyone's best interest to have that happen. And somewhere along the line, although it doesn't appear at this point that there is a middle ground will be reached. And we're all hoping it'll be reached sooner rather than later. But I think the players feel that they have to go out if nothing is proposed to them that they find acceptable before the 12th. And the owners figure that they have to stand united for the first time in a long time.
Well, I hope you're right. I wish I could share your opinion. I'm of the belief that if and when that strike occurs Friday, phone it in. But again, I'm hoping you are right and I can eat my words.
I remember a 2-day strike in '85 that surprised everybody. But then again, I remember the 50-day strike in '81. I was involved in that one. And that surprised everybody, too, with the length of that. But that came earlier. They still had postseason play, although they had 2 half seasons in '81. There'll be no 2 half seasons this year. But maybe a resumption of the pennant race before this is all over. There's some great races.
Oh, yeah.
And to take advantage of the new realignment and the wild card teams and postseason revenues given to all the major league teams from the networks, there's got to be a postseason.
Good afternoon for Mark Grace. A double, a single. He has stolen a base. And he has scored both Cub runs. Cubs lead the Giants with Zambrano at first. One away here in the 6th inning. A 2-1 score. You know, everybody over on the south side of town, Stoney, was talking during the day yesterday about if there is a strike and the season is wiped out, would it be Jack McDowell's last start as a member of the White Sox? He's a free agent at the end of the year. Well, the same question could be posed for Mark Grace as a Cub.
Well, another question, Tommy, and you have to consider that if there is a strike and it does wipe out the season, the whole issue of free agency is up in the air because you don't have any free agents. Because there is no contract, consequently, with no resolution to this labor relations problem, the free agent market becomes no market at all. There's no place for them to go until there is a resolution. So everything's very much up in the air. It's very difficult to plan, very difficult to figure out what exactly you are going to do, and certainly for the free agents, a very unsettled situation for everybody.
Bud Black mistaking Eddie Zambrano for Ricky Henderson over there at first. Talk a lot about Steve Traxel throwing to the bag. Bud Black has outdueled him in that front. Popped up. Matt Williams crossing into foul ground has it, 2 away in the inning. Well, we remind you that there are plenty of good seats available for tomorrow's matchup, the Cubs and the Giants. For tickets, visit any of the Cubs sports shops or Wrigley Field box office or charged by phone, calling 312-831-CUBS.
Kurt Manwaring out to talk with Bud Black. Sammy Sosa has taken him to right center. He's taken him to left field, and Bud Black hasn't been able to do anything with Sammy yet. So Sammy on the front end of what started out as a pickoff ended up as a steal of home and then drove in the first run, so he's been involved in both the Cubs scoring plays.
Zambrano at first, 2 down. And it's outside, ball 1. Quick throw down the first. Zambrano saw it coming.
Eddie laughing down at first, just to say they are really respecting my speed.
Yeah.
You know, he's got deceptive speed. It's a lot slower than you think.
Swing and a miss, a ball, a strike. Well, you're the guy that referred to Steve Buechele last night. Steve Buechele.
No, I said the man with the flying feet.
Oh, that's right. Well. Two and one to Sosa. 2 down, Zambrano at first. A 2-1 Cub lead in the 6th. And another throw down there, this time Eddie having to slide in. Little cat and mouse game, huh, Stoney? The Giants against Eddie Zambrano.
He is starting to look a lot more like Ricky Henderson to me. And there's Tom working on his swing, thinking maybe about pinch hitting a little later in the day, maybe.
Fouled away. It remains 2-2. Zambrano a lead at first, held by Benzinger, and Bud Black delivers, and it's hit hard into right field. But Martinez is there, and that ends the inning. No runs, no hits. 1 man left. Perry to carry you home at the end of 6. It remains the Cubs 2 and the Giants 1.
As we go into the top of the 7th, and Davey Martinez will lead it off. Cubs leading 2-1. Now the pitch. The curveball a little bit low. Boy, the decisive run was scored by decisive so far in the 4th. And Sammy Sosa, the runner at first with Grace at third, was picked off first and stayed in the hot box long enough to permit Grace breaking perfectly to score. It reminded me of Jackie Robinson, who was really adept. You never could tag him out. You know, he's a football player in college and a great running back. And he had that quickness and those quick starts and stops. And that's exactly the way Sosa looked. And it's a good thing because he should be credited with a run battle and stuff like that. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Martinez. 0 for 2 so far. 0 for 5 in the series. Broken bat, ground ball. Dunson will throw him out. 1 away.
Steve Traxel has had a lot of the Giants off balance and reaching for pitches today. That time, Davey Martinez, confused by the offering of Traxel, just reaches out, taps it to the left side. Pretty good pitch by Traxel. Looks like a split finger or a change. Dave Martinez shatters the bat, and it's an easy play for Sean Dunston.
Well, Traxel has made a lot of good pitches. And here, be careful. Tom Benzinger, who homered as a pinch hitter to win the game for the Giants last night, who doubled leading off the 5th and scored their only run. Fouls off the first pitch. Top of the 7th. Crowd of about 25,000 or so on hand. A lot of empty seats today. 1 out, nobody on. Cubs out in front 2-1. Pitch high, 1-1. John Patterson will be next. Line drive, Benzinger hits a shot to left. And he's on there again. And that brings up John Patterson, a switch hitter.
Benzinger doesn't run often. He's only tried 3 steals all year in 106 games. He's been successful 2 out of 3. So very rarely will he run unless it's a hit and run.
Patterson batted in the run last night. He had 2 out of 4. 1 out, 1 on. Go to first. Benzinger, as Steve just mentioned, is not a threat as a runner. He doesn't have any great speed, average speed, I guess. 1 out, 1 on.
Wendell Kim going through his set of signs, one of the most animated of all third base coaches. In fact, you very rarely see wristbands on a third base coach, but Wendell has them.
Maybe he has that to gaze at to know the sign. They say some of these signals that are given by the manager and coaches are difficult to pick up.
Especially for the Cubs this year.
1 out, 1 on. There's a strike call over the outside corner. Traxel shooting for victory number 10.
John Patterson took over as a starter when Robbie Thompson was lost for the year with a rotator cuff injury. And that was a huge loss for the Giants, along with the presence of Will Clark, who left as a free agent to go to Texas. They lost a lot of leadership on the right side with the departure of those 2 guys.
Well, you add to what's happened to their pitching staff and Willie McGee out. You can explain their record this year compared to last. 1 strike and nothing. Swung late foul. Boy, that's when a foul ball like that doesn't hit anybody. Everybody's very fortunate, because that ball was really hit hard and quickly reached the stand. The one gentleman there was reacting as if he stopped it with his stomach.
Well, he looks none the worse for wear, and as usually happens, Harry, the man that takes the brunt of the line drive is not the man who winds up with the souvenir.
Well, injustice is a common thing these days. Dusty Baker.
Looking at a pretty good manager right there for the San Francisco
Yes,
Giants.
he is. 1 out, 1 on. 1 ball, 2 strikes, snap throw to first by Parent. Hey, the Budweiser umbrella. A lot of action on the rooftops again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bouncing ball, base hit, right field, Benzinger around first. Here's Sammy Sosa, no chance to make a play, and very thoughtfully throws it into second base to keep the go-ahead run from advancing.
Benzinger stumbled around second base, and it looked for a minute like Sammy might have a play. This is a forkball, beaten into the ground, but it's so hard around home plate, the ball goes over the head of Mark Grace. You see right there that Benzinger loses his stride. But Sammy going into second to keep the double play in order, and now Mo Drabowski out to the mound as Dave Burba starts loosening up once again. So they will undoubtedly pinch hit for Bud Black, but you've got someone to contend with here in Manwaring, who's driven in the only Giant run to give him 29 for the year and is a pretty good contact hitter. He can also bunt, and that's something you have to keep in mind. But he has grounded into 9 double plays this year.
You know, Steve, you remember last night, Royce Clayton, after rounding second base, stumbled, almost fell, looked back over his shoulder, and Sosa threw him out. And Benzinger, after rounding second base, stumbled as you indicated. I wonder if they got some ice between third and second on base.
I don't know, but both guys did stumble. It didn't work out well for the Giants last night, but Sammy, realizing that the go-ahead run was in the person of Patterson, got the ball into second. Now the Cubs looking for two.
Throw to first, runner back. Now Kurt Van Waring has developed the knack of hitting to the opposite field a lot.
And Patterson has some speed. He's stolen 13 bases, been caught 3 times.
There he goes. Hit and run was on, fouled the pitch back. Where did Wendell Kim play baseball?
I'm not sure, Harry. I do remember him at Phoenix as either a manager or a coach. I think that he probably has been with the San Francisco organization for some time. I'd have to say he was an infielder.
Well, I tell you, he didn't play in the major leagues. Been a Giant coach since '89. Go to first, runner back. He played at places like Decatur, Fresno, Amarillo, Lafayette, Phoenix, Miami, and Shreveport.
I think that was all in the Giant system at the time.
1 strike. A little tap. The runner cannot score. But they're runners now at second and third as Van Waring tapped the ball and Traxel threw out. Patterson reaching second.
Good play by Steve Traxel. This ball comes off the end of the bat. And you see it right here starting to move away from Traxel, but with his long arms he's able to make the play. So now runners at second and third, but there are 2 out, and we're going to look at a pinch hitter. And who is it going to be? Mark Leonard, I guess.
Number 21, Mark Leonard.
Yep, that's who it is.
And he pinch hit last night. Drew a base on balls in the 7th inning.
Leonard, the left-hand hitter with runners at second and third. A key spot of this ball game. The Cubs leading 2-1.
Leonard has been a good pinch hitter this year. He's 4 for 10 with 2 runs driven in. He always has some very good numbers at AAA. Hitting .364 overall. He's only had 11 at bats.
Buddy Black had a good outing. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, walk 1, fan 2. And here is Leonard. He's hitting .364 in only 13 games, 4 out of 11. 4 out of 10 is a pinch hitter.
They've got first base open, and Leonard having a lefty-righty advantage. So you have to be careful if you're Steve Traxel. You have a right-hander due up next in Darren Lewis, and you've retired him 3 straight times.
One ball, no strikes. Only game in the major leagues today. Everybody else tonight. Cubs out in front 2-1, but the Giants threatening. However, there are 2 out. Ball 2. Now Sanchez, a moment ago, was playing back on the grass at second base for Leonard. Let's see if he goes there again. Yeah, he's playing a very deep second base.
I would think he would be, Harry. Leonard doesn't have great speed, and you've got to leave your feet on anything in the infield to make sure that the go-ahead run doesn't score. So you want to get as far back as you can where you can still throw out the man, and Leonard is not a speed burner, so Sanchez knows he can get him from there.
Strike call. 2 balls and the strike. Leonard has been yo-yoing with the Giants. Up and down, up and down, up and down. 3-4 years he's been in the big leagues for a while and sent down. 2 balls and the strike. Mark Leonard. Swung and he missed. And I think that was that split finger fastball or fork ball. Fork ball is something, the phrase that most people are associated with, including myself. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runners second and third, the tying and go-ahead runs. The Cubs are out in front at the moment, 2-1. Ball 3 is high. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
And let's see if he comes back with a good split finger here. That one just missing up and away. Leonard showing good patience by laying off. And the biggest pitch of the ball game for Steve Traxel.
No action in the bullpen. It's Traxel against the world today. 3-2. 2 out, 2 on. Swings and he fouls the pitch. And that was that fork ball again. Tom Trebelhorn pacing back and forth in the Cub dugout. Dusty Baker more composed, it looks like. Doesn't have as much room to maneuver maybe in the dugout. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now the pitch. And Leonard backs out of the batter's box. Yeah, you know, you might, all the strategy, everything that goes in the game. Now here's the manager's got to depend on the hitter getting a hit or the pitcher getting him out. That's what the ball's down to. 3-2. Ball 4. And here's Darren Lewis, who was a big hitter with his 2-run triple in the 7th inning last night, and he scored the tying run on Royce Clayton's base hit. As the Giant made it 4-4, and then Bensinger won it in the 9th with his homer of Dan Plesac. Now he's up there with the bases loaded.
Pretty impressive at bat for Mark Leonard, who showed great patience on a couple of close pitches on 2-2 and 3-2. Winds up drawing the walk. And now it's right-hander against right-hander. And so far, Traxel has gotten much the better of Darren Lewis.
Yeah, but Mark Grace made a remarkable stop to rob him of the hit in the 6th. Diving to his right and tossing the Traxel. Curveball in there, a strike ball.
Varasanato loosening up in the bullpen.
1 ball, no balls, 1 strike, 2 out. Bases are loaded. Darren Lewis, the center fielder, 0 for 3. Oh boy, he had a fool with that fork ball that time. And Lewis had a very weak swing. He's done pretty well with the bases loaded previously this year, but that was then and this is now.
Traxel does have 6 wild pitches, and odds are he'll be trying to nip at the zone, so the pressure falls to Mark Parent to block anything down. Darren Lewis.
fastball on the outside corner. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 3 left. We go into the bottom of the 7th. The Cubs still leading 2-0. We go in the bottom of the 7th. Boy up far, and Burba. Dave Burba comes in to pitch for the Giants. Here's Dave Martinez getting other easy out as Hill pops out to Martinez. Watch this last pitch to Darren Lewis. See what you think.
Well, the Cubs will take it. It was 3-4 inches outside, but Steve Traxel made the big pitch when he had to, got out of a bases-loaded jam, and Dave Burba comes in at 2-6, 4.56 ERA, on for the 56th time. Only given up 5 home runs in 71 innings, but he's fanned 82, so he throws hard.
Here's the pitch apparent. Takes a low and outside. Well, Peggy McSweeney, if you're listening in Hilton Head, your sister, Joan Barry, who's Jack Barry's wife. Jack, a well-known attorney, and a former football player under Frank Leahy of Notre Dame. Peggy McSweeney enjoying a very happy birthday today. And this is just to let her know that her sister Joan 28,368. Doesn't seem that big, but that means a lot of people who bought tickets are not here. 1 out. Looking ahead to the 8th, they'll have Clayton, Bonds, and Williams. And you might say this is the most important inning of the ball game for Steve Traxel, who's been outstanding so far. Boy, after all those fork balls, he busted loose a good fastball.
And it was a good fastball.
High pop fly. Burba gets Parent. Patterson under the ball. 2 out. And here is Steve Buechele. Traxel is fan 3 after Lewis was called out on strikes. And he has walked 3. There's a high, easy fly ball, short center coming on fast to make the catch. Darren Lewis to retire the side. 1, 2, 3. At the end of 7, the Cubs still lead 2-1.
Chicago. We'll be there in the morning, starting September 6th.
Caray back at Wrigley Field. We're going to the top of the 8th. Al Go is the vice president of Cubs baseball development and scouting. Is his forte. He's a very busy man today. First of all, his wife gave birth to a baby girl. Randy and Rod Reestagley. Randy's the daughter of Al Golders. I take that back. His daughter became a mother of a. And also, Josh Golders, Al Golders' son, graduated today from the University of Florida. So congratulations to do him. I still can't figure out this. Congratulations to Randy and Rod Reese-Tagley. Here's a drive in the right center field. Going to be caught. And Hill grabs it. 1 out. Royce Clayton is retired. And here is Barry Bonds. I still can't. Congratulations for what? Randy and Rod Reese-Tagley. Maybe they just got married. Randy's the daughter of Al Golden. Yeah, they just got married. Just figured it all out. And Josh, his son, graduated from the University of Florida. Here is Barry Bonds. Hold your breath. Great. Oh, what a play! What a play by Mark Graves. Boy, oh boy. That's the second one like that he's made today.
That looked like a sure base hit when it left the bat, but Mark Grace right there to make the play as Bonds gets a high fastball, rolls the hands over on it, and Mark Grace able to flag it down on the hop, smother the ball. And alertly, Steve Traxel breaking for the bag, the soft toss, and they retire a pretty tough hitter.
You know, last year, Barry Bonds for the Giants had 46 home runs, but only 29 stolen bases. This year's already got 37 home runs, and he's stymied at 29 stolen bases again. Here's a bouncing ball. Sanchez over to first. So it's 1, 2, 3. A great inning for Steve Traxel. Nothing across. We go in the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs lead 2-1. Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go into the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs leading 2-1. Sanchez leading it off. Fouls off the first pitch. Entertain your clients or guests in luxury seating in the greatest park in all of baseball. Rent a Cubs mezzanine skybox for a Cubs game at beautiful Wrigley Field. Each box includes 15 tickets and 2 parking passes. I would suggest you wait till after tomorrow, though, and see what happens, whether the strike's going to come on. If they're going to continue, pick up the phone and call. You call area code 312 from out of town, 404 Cubs, 404 CUBS for further information. There's a fly ball. Martinez is there. Easy out.
Steve Traxel is going to be taken down and not allowed to finish this game. And Derek May is going to pinch hit for him. And tomorrow on Leadoff Man, we're going to have Frank Maloney. Leadoff Man at 1 o'clock. Frank Maloney, the ticket manager of the Cubs, going to talk about what will happen in the event of a strike. For those of you holding tickets, Frank will explain the procedure and what exactly the Cubs have planned for that. So here's Derek May.
Derek May pinch hitting for the crowd. Naturally doesn't like to move because Traxel's pitching such outstanding balls. But that's Randy.
5 hits, 1 run, it was earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 3 pitches. 8 innings, 5 hits.
There's a ground ball to Shard. Royce Clayton over to first. And May is retired. That means that Randy Myers, the crowd, you hear a chorus of boos.
Well, they're booing Derek May. Maybe for what happened last night. Who knows? But in any event, Randy Myers will come into this, and he will be trying to save the game for Steve Traxel, who got through a mighty difficult 8th inning. And Myers will be in search of save number 22, and he's got the bottom part of the order to face.
Myers will be going for his 22nd save. Dunston fouls him back. Traxel. If Meyer can hold him, and Myers ordinarily does, about 80% of the time, he's an outstanding relief pitcher. There's a strike called. Dave Burba, who throws the ball hard in his 2nd inning of relief. Retired 5 in a row. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Final game of the series tomorrow. Van Landingham will go for the Giants. And so, Dunston ends the bottom of the 8th, and the score at the end of the 8th, the Cubs 2, Giants 1. Martinez.
Randy Myers at 1-4, ERA 3.43, on for the 38th time, looking for save 22. He's walked 14, he's fanned 32 and 39 in the 3rd inning.
Carry on the first pitch, flies out to Glen Allen Hill in center field. Carry on the first pitch, flies out. Carry on, pretty good hitter, hitting 273. But he goes out, and as a pinch hitter, he's hitting 300 all year long. Here's Bensinger. Be careful here. As they say, there's a base hit. Boy, oh boy, he low deck. Randy Myers.
That one almost took Randy's head off. His hat is still laying on the front of the mound, and he got down in a hurry. And you see Randy hatless, and he'll go retrieve the hat, as that was a vicious line drive back through the middle. Watch it again. First ball, fastball, and yet down Randy. Whoa.
John Patterson will turn around and hit right-hander. The pinch runner also coming out. For Bensinger, all he did was hit 3 out of 4.
Mike Benjamin is coming on to pinch run. John Patterson will turn around to hit right-handed, where he has hit this year 097.
Well, those are the kind of guys you worry about at a spot like this.
1-run game, Harry. You worry about all of them.
2-1 to favor the Cubs. Patterson got a hit in the 7th. Looks down to third base coach Wendell Kim. Patterson's only 3 out of 31 batting right-handed. There's a fly ball hit deep, going back. Sammy Sosa makes the catch. Nice play. Patterson hit the ball well. Sammy had a long way to run, and he pulled the ball down.
Well, now the Cubs just 1 out away as that one sliced down the line, and Sammy right there. Good concentration before he gets to the padding.
Was that ball fair or foul?
It was fair.
Here's the Dewey game summary. Traxel, a wonderful game, 5 hits, 3 strikeouts in 8 innings. Bud Black also pitched well, and Mark Grace and Sammy Sosa between them had 4 out of 6. Everybody's on their feet. 2 outs, a tying run at first.
And it looks like Darryl Strawberry is coming out to pinch hit. Lefty against lefty, power against power. Darryl Strawberry coming out to pinch hit against Randy Myers.
Strawberry, that's his first pinch hitting effort. If he did pinch hit before, he walked because he doesn't have an official time at bat as a pinch hitter. But he's batting .250 for the year with 4 homers and 17 RBI. Now, Randy Myers is not a curveball pitcher. He's a fastball slider pitcher. And you're talking now about power versus power. Randy Myers, who throws hard, and Darryl Strawberry, who hits fastballs hard. Benjamin, the runner at first. 2-1 Cubs. The fastball is high. We'll have another pinch hitter coming up next if Strawberry gets on. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strike.
Steve Scarsoni on deck. He'll come on to pinch hit if Darryl Strawberry can keep it alive.
Two strikes and nothing. You know Strawberry has the green light here. He doesn't want a base on balls. Ball 3. 3-0. 2 out.
More times than not, Randy Myers does get the job done. But he is adventuresome.
3-0 pitch. Well, strike over the inside corner. However adventuresome Randy Myers is, he is no Mitch Williams.
Not quite that adventuresome.
3 balls and the strike. He walked him, and the Giants, here's Steve Scarsoni coming out. Scarsoni as a pinch hitter. No official time at bat. No, Scarsoni is 3 out of 14 as a pinch hitter, hitting .265 with 1 homer and 11 RBI.
Scarsoni did pinch hit last night and lined out to third base in his only chance to swing the bat. And most pinch hitters look for a first ball fastball, and that's what they try to wail on. So the outfield playing him a couple steps to hit the right center. And they're fairly deep for him.
Scarsoni, normally a third baseman. He's played second, first, and he's filled in the outfield. Strike call. The crowd is on its feet. A cool day has drawn 28,368. The Cubs are over the 1,800,000 mark in home attendance. Oh, and 1 to count. That evens it up. 1-1. Darren Lewis would be next. One ball, 1 strike. High, ball 2. It's just about 4 o'clock here at Wrigley Field. Crowd on its feet, wanting this final out. 2 balls and the strike. Ball 3. Let's pause for identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
He walked him. So the bases are loaded. And Darren Lewis, who struck out with the bases loaded against Traxel in the 7th. Darren Lewis 0 for 4. A base hit by Benzinger with 2-out walks to Strawberry and Scarsoni. And now the bases are loaded. Nobody in the bullpen. It's Randy Myers against the world, as well as the San Francisco Giants. And we're going to have a pinch runner coming out. Running for Strawberry.
Billy Swift, the pitcher, is at second base running for Darryl Strawberry. So Darryl might have a leg problem. Normally, he's got great speed.
Yeah.
And Billy Swift getting loosened up.
So the bases are loaded. Darren Lewis digging in. Drum on the short base, center field base hit, 1 run in. 2 runs are in. And Steve Traxel cannot win this game. But Randy Myers could lose it.
And now we're going to have to take a look at Rod Beck as you watch Darren Lewis, who had been held 0 for 4, go right back up the middle. Driving in runs number 28 and 29, and how about this? Lewis came up with a big triple last night in the 7th. Billy Swift scores. The Giants lead by 1. And a wasted, excellent performance by Steve Traxel.
Here's a pitch now to Royce Clayton. And again, Darren Lewis, who hit a 2-run triple yesterday that helped him tie the score in the 7th. Hit a 2-run single here in the 9th to give them the lead 3-2. High pop foul. And this will end the inning. But the Giants got 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. And we go into the bottom of the 9th now. And for the first time today, the Cubs are trailing 3-2. Steve Scarsoni, who drew an important base on ball to fill the bases up before Lewis singled in the 2 runs. Scarsoni at first base. Jeff Reed out of Joliet, Illinois, born and raised in high school there. The catcher. And there's Rod Beck.
Looking for save number 27, ERA 289. Tuffy Rhodes leading off against him. So Beck, who has given up 10 home runs, a whopping total in 46 2/3 innings, has only walked 11, fanned 37, and he saved the ball game last night in a tough 2-inning save.
You know how often, I don't mind saying it because I've been saying it all year, the failing that all managers seem to have, the feeling that they have to bring in a closer. Now here's Traxel, a young kid, pitching a great ball game, went through the very power of the lineup, 1, 2, 3 in the 8th, after getting out of the bases loaded situation by striking out Lewis from the 7th. Taken out of the ball game in the 9th to bring in Randy Myers, a great saver. But how could he have pitched better than Traxel?
Well, Traxel's your future, Harry. There's no doubt about that. And he did throw 8 brilliant innings, and it's just a shame to see that particular effort go to waste. Maybe the Cubs can come back against a man who has not blown a save this year, Rod Beck.
2-2 pitch. A little low. All 3. Well, the Cubs gave the fans a thrill in the bottom of the 9th, trailing by a run, having runners at first and second with nobody out before losing. 3-2 pitch, Ron Beck. Swung on, fouled out of play. Beck shooting for his second save in 2 nights, in 2 games, and his 27th of the year. Beck trying to save this for Verbo, who would be the winning pitcher. 3-2. High pop foul out of play. You know, and what I said wasn't intended as just a criticism of Treblehorn. As you recall, all year long, I've been saying all managers do that. It seems to be written in the contract that you bring in the closer. Fouled it off again. Boy, with 3 and 2, Verba has thrown 3 straight pitches that Carl Rhodes has fouled off.
Well, Ron Beck has been successful on 38 straight save opportunities, and he's been successful 68 of his last 70 save opportunities dating back to last year.
Again, he 4 straight with a count of 3 and 2.
The last blown save for Rod Beck was right here in Chicago last August 15th of 1993. So 38 straight for Rod Beck. And the Cubs are bucking quite a trend. But if they get Tuffy Rhodes on to lead off the inning, it's a completely different inning with Mark Grace up.
3 balls, 2 strikes. He foul tipped it. And the ball oozed out of Jeff Reed's mitt. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 3-2 in favor of the Giants. He rocked him. Rhodes batting for Zambrano. Draws a base on ball.
Well, Rod Beck wanted that one, and he didn't get it from Jerry Lane. Jerry Lane thought it was down. Cubs get the leadoff man on.
The Giants trying to get within 3.5 games of the Dodgers, who play tonight. Here's Grace, 2 out of 3. Hot shot foul.
Last night in the 9th inning, Rod Beck, after getting out of a jam in the 8th, walked Grace, gave up a single to Sosa, and then got out of it with 2 strikeouts, and Ray Sanchez flied out with the bases loaded. Here he's got the leadoff man on again.
With the very heart of the Cubs lineup coming up. Grace, Sosa, and Hill. Nobody out. Tying run at first. That evens up a ball and a strike. Carl Rhodes did a great job in his time at bat as a pinch hitter.
That was a great at bat against Beck.
He ran the count to 3 and 2 and fouled off 4 pitches before drawing ball 4. Ron Beck shooting for his 27th save. A ball and a strike. A foul ball outside first base. And it had to be fouled. The first base umpire, Dana DeMute, was right 8 feet away from where the ball went foul.
Scarsoni doesn't wander off the bag too far, and he dives, but the ball is well foul in between Jose Martinez and Dana DeMute.
A high pop foul may get out of play. And it does into the stand. So Mark Grace is still alive. Nobody out. Tying run at first. The outfield plays him a shade, just a shade towards left field. Barry Bonds plays him more shallow than the other two. Struck him out. And boy, you talk about a fork ball. Here's another guy who's got a great one.
And when you strike out Mark Grace, you've got pretty good stuff. Grace well out in front of this one. 40th strikeout of the year, and now red-hot hitter Sammy Sosa with a chance to do some damage. He got a base hit against Rod Beck last night. He drove it through the left side, and he's facing him here again.
You know, Burba's had a record of 2-6 and no save. I find that hard to believe. He looks so good. And he would be the winner tonight of this game if Beck gets the Cubs out. But here's a man who's given the Giants so much trouble. 3 out of 5 last night, 2 out of 3 today, 5 out of 8. That's better than 500. One out, one on. One ball, one strike. Sosa singled off Beck in the 9th inning yesterday. A ball and a strike. 3-2 Giants. Ground ball. Out at second base for 1, no play at first base. Patterson couldn't get the ball in position to throw. He kind of juggled it in his mitt.
Here's an example of not having a Robbie Thompson at second base, who usually turns these over. Cubs get an extra out. Good throw by Williams, and Patterson could not get the ball out, so the Cubs do have a life. And they've got a fine base runner at first. And maybe, just maybe, Sammy will be taking off and test Jeff Reed, especially on one of those low fork balls.
Glenn Allen Hill fanned against Rod Beck last night. Misses the first pitch. Sosa, he's around third. He's got a chance to score. They stop now at third base.
Only the great
Allen Hill, a double to left, and Barry Bonds recovered that ball in a hurry.
And Harry, only the great athleticism of Barry Bonds stopped the tying run from scoring. Glenn Allen Hill crushes this ball. Normally, the left fielder can't stop Sammy Sosa from scoring, but Bonds gets to it so quickly. Tony Muser has no choice. The relay throw is perfect, and Muser has to hold Sammy at third. Just a great play by Bonds. Watch it again. Here's another way that this man can beat you. Barry Bonds getting the ball as quickly as any left fielder in the game. And normally you'd think there'd be a tie game right now with the Cubs, a golden opportunity to win it. Now it all falls to Rick Wilkins.
Watch Dusty Baker, the Giant manager now. He's watching that double.
Dusty's going, come on, Barry. And indeed, Barry did come on.
And he certainly did.
And made a play.
All right, what are they going to do here? Are they going to walk Wilkins? I would imagine so, yes. That will fill the bases. Now, remember, Rod Beck has a tremendous fork ball. And Kurt Manwaring is not catching. Jeff Reed is catching. Manwaring is exceptional at blocking pitches into the dirt. And Buechele will be the hitter with the bases loaded and 2 out.
And Harry, do you let Buechele hit, or do you go to Mike Maxudian, who's got a great eye and has drawn a couple of base on balls, the pinch hitter?
I'd have to let Buechele hit. He's an experienced hitter who has been in these situations many times before. And when he doesn't swing for the fences, he can hit the ball to the other field for singles, and a single will win the game right now.
And a base hit with the great speed of Glenn Allen Hill at second base will indeed win the game. So it's Buechele against Beck with the game on the line.
And Sosa's a tying run at third. Glenn Allen Hill, the winning run at second. A weak swing, strike 1. Ron Beck had a scary for the Giants 9th inning last night. He's had a scary 9th inning again today. Bases loaded, 2 out. That evens the count, a ball and a strike. There's the tying run right there. And there's the winning run right there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ground ball to short. 4th play. The game is over. And the Cubs again have lost a heartbreaker by the score 3-2. Last night, the Giants scored 3 in the 7th to tie it, and then 1 on Bensinger's home run in the 9th. Today, they were a run behind in the